South Africa's men's hockey team claimed a historic bronze medal at the Indoor World Cup in Croatia recently, as South Africa's indoor hockey superstar Mustapha Cassiem named player of the tournament. And to talk about this remarkable achievement, we've roped in from the Federation the Vice President Lwandile Simelane, as well as the SA men's indoor hockey coach, and that is Coach Justin Rosenburg. They are here with us in studio. Congratulations are in order. Firstly, well done on bringing home a bronze medal.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked you before we went on air. You seem to have exceeded expectations according to us. Did you surprise yourselves as a team?
I think as a team we set our mindset to get in a semi-final and put in a medal as a podium finish. The biggest result for us obviously was a bittersweet one against Iran. Coming out of the last World Cup in a pool game to give ourselves a really good quarter-final. We were 4-1 out. We let that one slip to draw the game 4-4. And to get a 6-0 convincing win in the quarterfinal this year, this World Cup was bittersweet for the team.
So would you say you reached your target?
As a team, we did. We wanted to medal. That was the big mindset coming out of the last World Cup. For 2 years, the group kept being a medalist at the World Cup as a forefront and a goal the team wanted to achieve. And that's what we came to do, and we did.
And did they meet the targets of the Federation, VP?
Of course, with great certainty. I think, you guys ask if they surprised us. If they didn't, they finished in the last World Cup just outside the semis. It's a strong team and it's a positive indoor setup that we've got going. So for us, the medal is obviously a sweet cherry on top, but it's exactly what they've set out to do.
And what is it? How do you describe the setup for those maybe who don't follow the sport, and maybe the support that they get, or the lack of support even, because we see with the so-called minority sport there's not as much support as in the major sports? Yeah,
definitely. I think if you look at what the team has been able to achieve with the limit in resources that we have to face is beyond phenomenal. And I think for us, when we make a plea to the private sector, that look at what they can achieve with a little, if they can just get a little more and a bit of backing and support, perhaps the gold medal will be ours soon. Perhaps an Olympic medal will be up soon, And I think, the gents and the ladies and the setup as a whole just needs a bit of support.
Yeah. And how were your preparations, Coach, going into this World Cup? Because I remember before you went with the men's team and we had the women's team, and one team could practice and the other couldn't practice.
I mean, like you said, like Lwandile also mentioned, we had to cut our training program short by a week. We were going to go to Europe, and due to lack of funding, but obviously we need to make sure we say thanks to the current sponsors that we do have, Tops at Spa, Mutwako, Spec, and obviously Coronation. They did help us and get us onto track. But we had to cut our training program short by a week. We couldn't go into Europe because we didn't have the funding, but we made do with what we had. We had that 5-day camp in Joburg, and from Joburg we got to Croatia about 5 days before the World Cup started. We trained for a couple of days and also had 3 practice matches before the World Cup started on the Monday.
How important was that first match and just getting out the blocks quickly?
I think you could see the players had a lot of jitters. So first game jitters, especially the young guys whose first World Cup it was, they were making their debut at the World Cup. But then obviously that settled in the 3rd and 4th chukker, because obviously playing against the host nation, the crowd was wild, they were electric, they were just in our ear the whole time. But the team came through. And we got that first win, and that just gave us momentum going forward.
And obviously we talk a lot about the men, but with the women, where do you think maybe it's still lacking for them to go a bit further?
Well, I don't think it's lack. I think they probably just had a bit of unluck at this World Cup. Those are, semi-finalists from the World Cup in Tshwane. So it's not, a team that is lacking. It is, I think they just had a bit of an unlucky tournament, and I'm quite sure that the girls are picking themselves up now and looking forward to the next one to go out there and make the country proud.
Coach mentioned the sponsors that have come on board, and we are grateful for that. We can never thank sponsors enough. Sometimes they don't get the recognition that they deserve. But we know the Sports Ministry has a very small budget for sport, not through their own doing also. But is there enough support coming from that side just to make sure that this team now can build on this momentum and this performance from Croatia? Yeah,
look, I mean, we've got some great positive partners that we work with now. Coach just mentioned a few of them. We're looking good in Taylor here and stuff like that. So we do have partners who support us and work well. But what, as Coach is saying, what we need is money to send the team. It takes at least about R1 million just to assemble a team. And they need competition. They need to train. They need to go abroad to compete internationally to prepare for tournaments such as this. And that unfortunately does take resources.
You talk about playing internationally. The Cassiem brothers have been playing overseas. We saw Mustapha from young player of the tournament to now a player of the tournament. How important is that also? Because we've seen obviously in some other countries the sport is professional, whether it's field hockey or indoor hockey.
I think the one big thing we do recognize is obviously the influence that the Cassiem brothers do have. Some of our international players as well, they do play, like Jet plays in Australia, Lochis plays in the UK. So to bring that expertise back into the group obviously uplifts the group. But to play against teams that are consistently playing professional hockey week in, week out, you're playing against the curveball every single time. We've got a lot of guys in our team that have a 9 to 5. So they're literally training before 8 a.m. in the morning, and then straight after work in the evening, they're training after 7. But then there's guys that obviously were fortunate enough that is making their trade in hockey. The Cassiem brothers obviously playing in the Hoofdklasse, best league in the world, but bring that expertise back into the group, uplifts, but also then just makes players want to want more going forward.
Do you also have a 9 to 5, coach?
I do definitely.
You know, what's the next question? Last time we spoke to Coach G before they went to Paris, he told us he doesn't get paid as a national team coach. Is it the same for you?
100%. Do this for the love of the game. And hopefully one day it will change. So what we're currently doing, we're trying to create a pathway that eventually this will change, you know. At the moment, we walk in the dusty roads to create highways for the future. That's the most important thing.
That's where the money comes in, VP, then to be able to pay the sevens of the country that have come back with a bronze medal.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unfortunate. Our sport, like any sport in the country, is run on the back of volunteers. And we have to, you know, express gratitude to those men and women in South African hockey who pump the passion every day and ensure that we get going, that they put everything that they can behind the team, the coaches, the doctors, you know, the assistant coaches, the athletes themselves are volunteers in this phase. I think it definitely is a big plea for us. Everybody can see the passion that these guys are going out there with. We want to give them the best that we can give them, and we need the resources to be able to do that.
And how are the structures below the national team? And how's the interest in the sport? Because there's always been hockey at these schools. Boys and girls have always been playing. But what happens after that?
Yeah, I mean, hockey is a big school sport. I think I would think that if you look at how many artificial turfs are being put down across the country, you know, every month it's major for you know, it's major in the school sector. But we also have a very exciting program with our under-21s heading off to Namibia soon to try and qualify for the Junior World Cup as well. So there's a lot of hockey happening and a lot happening within the structures, and I think it's quite a happy, positive time. And you know, the guys come bring back a medal and just make it even more positive, you know, and a space for the sport to be in right now.
But how do you keep the players then focused and have this positive mindset despite these challenges, Coach?
Well, over the last 4 years since I've been involved with the team, we've tried to create a culture where there's a self-belief, there's a brotherhood within the team. They play for each other, but at the same time, when they step onto their field, they play for something bigger than themselves in the group. They play for the badge and the people back home. The youngster that's looking up to them, that's 10 years old and wants to aspire to be like them. When they see their heroes achieving and gaining remarkable success, that obviously then steers them to want to be better and train harder. And hopefully in 10 years' time, that 10-year-old becomes the next superstar because of what he's seen.
But we need money to entice them also to make sure that they will get rewarded. I'm old enough to remember the days of Emil and Tammy Tsolegile playing hockey, Marsha Cox and Sanani and all those players that I've mentioned. And hockey for me, there always seems to have been at least some work being done when it comes to representation. How are things these days? Oh,
it's amazing. We've got such a diverse team. If you look at the last World Cup, it was incredible to see some youngsters. Our youngest player in Lita Cry, Cape Town-based boy, only 17 at Saks, coming out of the streets in Cape Town. But he played phenomenal hockey. Some of the goals he scored, oh, he's such a hero at the moment, you'll see that. And we've got this cool, calm, collected boy from George in LaRue. Phenomenal kid. Those two youngsters, unbelievable talent. And if you look at it, they've probably got another 3 World Cups left in them. You know, that's just the starting point. And then we've got a couple of youngsters. I mean, Mustapha Cassiem is only 23. Still got another 3 World Cups. Imagine in 5 World Cups what that kid's going to be like. The young Cassiem, 25, 26. Delpiara Langford, 25. So there's still another 2-3 World Cups left in these guys. If you keep the group together and you keep them hungry, the sky's the limit. Not just for them, but for hockey players going forward.
And as a federation, are you intentionally going to these previously disadvantaged areas? Do you have programs? Are you able to even have these programs to try and also introduce the sport to these areas? Because I know the guys in Langa, they've always been passionate about hockey, and there are many other townships also around the country.
Oh yeah, I think we've got a massive modified hockey program that's going around the country trying to introduce hockey, in the areas that have not had exposure to hockey before. And yeah, there definitely is a large push, and when you have young men like Alita, from places like Walanga, and having young men from Mitchell's Plain, etc., who are going out into the world, bearing the badge of the country and representing the nation, it is a outcome and a result of positive programs that are ensuring that hockey is at every corner and every avenue of the country.
Yeah. Did you get a hero's welcome at the airport when you came back?
They did miss that one, and I think the players did deserve it. Hopefully we'll get one soon. But I think the work they've put in over the years, they do deserve some more recognition than they have. But currently, the support we've gotten from the likes of yourselves, SABC and the radio stations has been phenomenal. So the players are feeling that and they appreciate it.
Yeah, and you deserve it, and that's why we're giving you this coverage. Thank you to the Vice President, Lwandile Simelane, and Coach for joining us here tonight. It's been a wonderful chat talking to you, getting to understand more about hockey, and well done on the bronze medal. I thought you were going to bring it, Coach.
I do have it for you.
Where is it? Let's sit. Before we go to a break, there it is there. Gold medal from the Indoor Hockey World Cup in Croatia. Thank you, Coach, and thank you, VP.